Air defense systems and missiles are needed in Ukraine, not in a warehouse somewhere. Long-range strikes that can defend against Russian terror are needed now. Every day of delay means more lives lost.
This close to the front lines, Poltava is no stranger to Russian attacks. But now the city is in mourning, after one of the worst single strikes on Ukrainian territory since the Russian invasion began.
For more, I'm joined by Ivana Stradner. She's a research fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies in Washington, D.C. Good to have you with us. Ukraine already uses Western weapons in some cases to strike Russian territory. Why haven't allies allowed it for long-range attacks, as we just heard Zelensky call for again?
So to begin with, this was definitely one of the worst attacks since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, and in part because Russia was able to use ballistic missiles, but Ukraine actually lacked enough air defense to protect itself. And as you mentioned, not only that, Ukraine is also struggling with the weapons coming from the West to attack also inside Russia. And one of the key reasons is that the West, in particular right now, the United States, fears escalation. This is precisely why Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine was a few days ago speaking with the European Union and asking them for help also to convince the United States to allow Ukraine to hit military targets inside Russia. And today, what we saw in Ukraine was precisely the result of hesitation coming from the Biden administration in particular to help Ukraine win this war. The very first fact, when Washington says we are going to stand with Ukraine as long as it takes, no, we have to define what the victory is. Because let's not forget that just recently, with the latest Kursk counter-attack that Ukraine launched, actually, that really irritated Putin a lot. So I was not surprised to see what I saw today. And as I mentioned, it is a large part of the fear of escalation. But this is bluffing. Because look, the United States also feared to send ATACMS. Did it provoke Putin? It didn't. Did javelins provoke Putin? They didn't. F-16? Absolutely not, because it's part of Putin's psychological games that he has been using against the West, in particular against the United States, but also some other nations, including France and Germany. And having said that, just as we are talking today, Russia has announced a new nuclear doctrine and a new nuclear approach. Why? Because just a few days ago, Lavrov again, warned the West of the World War III. Why? Because Lavrov perfectly knows that it resonates with a lot of people in the US, that they remember the Cold War. Also, the notion of the World War III and Armageddon is something that they fear. And that's the part of Russia's psychological game, that they have been threatening with nuclear arsenal that unfortunately still works with some people in the West. But whoever believes that Western kindness is going to actually make Putin stop this war is sorely mistaken. He has announced recently, openly, that negotiations are not on the horizon, especially after Kursk. So having said that, Putin can only be stopped if we stop him. He only fears power, and that's something that we should not fear. Instead, we should put Russia on the defenses so it defends itself instead of attacking Ukraine.
Ivana Stradner in Washington, D.C., thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting.